If a small minority stands firm behind an idea, they can force the majority to conform to their will. Today we'll explore the minority rule and how it can be seen in, understood through, and affect video games. Before that, we would like to remind you to subscribe, hit the like button, and if you want to get early access to all of our upcoming videos, then consider supporting us on Patreon. Let's start by explaining the minority rule by providing examples. The kosher population represents less than 0.3% of the residents of the United States. Yet, it appears that most drinks in the US supermarkets are kosher. Just grab an orange juice or a lemonade, and you'll probably see a U in a circle sign, which simply means that this drink is kosher compatible. At first, this might seem weird, and make no sense from an economic point of view, to produce a drink with specific rules that the vast majority of consumers don't care about, only to fulfill the demands of a small minority. But, if closely looked at, there's a simple explanation behind it and one that makes total sense: the minority rule. Every person who does not conform to the Jewish dietary regulations can drink kosher or non-kosher drinks, but every person who conforms to the Jewish dietary regulations will only drink kosher drinks. This asymmetric relationship makes the producers decide to make one unified kosher compatible drink for both consumers to avoid the inefficiency of having two products, two distribution channels, and searching for specific places to sell one of the drinks and not the other. Whenever you have a flexible majority and a minority that follows strict rules, the minority always wins. The same phenomena also explains the gradual disappearance of a manual gearbox in modern cars. Drivers who drive manual cars can also drive automatics, but automatic drivers can't necessarily do the opposite. To simplify things for the manufacturers, they only make automatic cars. YouTube once suggested to me a 20-minute video on why manual gearboxes are disappearing from cars. I wondered, why do you need 20 minutes to explain it? It's simply the minority rule. End of discussion. The phenomena once noticed can be seen in many aspects of life, philosophy, industry, politics, and even video games. The examples are too many to count. In the United Kingdom, where the practicing Muslim population is only 3 to 4%, a very high proportion of the meat we find is halal. On flights, they no longer provide nuts, although those who are allergic are only a tiny minority of the total number of passengers. The tricky part of the minority rule is that its dynamics are not noticed, and the changes happen in an organic way, which is why many people don't detect it. Let me bring the minority rule to video games in two examples. First, one of the most boring topics I see people repeatedly talk about is the end of single-player games. From the minority rule point of view, I can with confidence say that single-player games will never stop being produced. Those who play multiplayer online games in general don't mind playing single-player games. But those who only play single-player games are not necessarily interested in multiplayer games, including yours truly. This asymmetry works in favor of single-player games. All of the Call of Duty games except for the latest Black Ops included a single-player component. Black Ops didn't include it because it wasn't ready when the release date came, but starting from the upcoming Call of Duty, the single-player option will be back again. The first Titanfall was heavily criticized for not including a single-player component, and that pressure pushed Respawn to create, in the sequel Titanfall 2, one of the most beautiful single-player campaigns in recent memory in a first-person shooter game. Multiplayer games are under pressure to deliver a single-player component, while the opposite is not true. No one has criticized Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Detroit Become Human, God of War, Spider-Man, or Horizon Zero Dawn for not including a multiplayer component, but both Star Wars games and Titanfall were criticized for not having a single-player component. To redeem its mistake, EA is extending an olive branch to gamers by announcing a third Star Wars game that will be single-player only, with no multiplayer component in any way, shape, or form. That is the minority rule in action. The single-player gamers have an asymmetry in their relationship with multiplayer gamers, and it works in favor of the former. So whenever someone talks about the end of single-player games, just remember the minority rule and how a consistent, unyielding minority can lead the majority. The second observation of the minority rule in the world of video games is the reaction to the new Epic Store. Only a small minority of the total number of PC gamers care if a game is on the Steam or Epic Store. There are 2.5 billion gamers on this planet, and from the total gaming market, 25% play games on their computers. That translates into more than 600 million computer players. Steam users are around 90 million, and from the 90 million, only a portion will refuse to play on any store other than Steam. So we're talking here about a minority within a minority within a minority. I can now see a new minority rule brewing. Most of the 600 million PC gamers don't mind playing a game on Steam or on any other gaming market, but the hardcore Steam users might end up forcing developers to provide their games to Steam under any circumstances. If you think a minority like them can be safely ignored, then take a step back and think. Why would a company like Epic Games write lucrative checks to game developers to get their games away from the Steam store? It is a direct response to the minority rule of Steam users. Epic realized that there is an asymmetry that works in favor of the Steam store. If a group of friends wants to play a game together online, and they're indifferent as to which platform or store they buy the game from, then it only takes one uncompromising member of the group who plays only on Steam to push the whole group to that store. By having a game exclusively in its Epic store, Epic is removing the effect of the minority rule. Steam represents only around 10% of the total PC market gaming revenue, but the minority rule is strong, and any new major game has to be released in the Steam store because you have an uncompromising minority of hardcore gamers there who won't play the game anywhere else. The followers of this channel know that we are big fans of Nassim Taleb and his writings. In his book, Skin in the Game, Taleb talks about the minority rule and summarizes it brilliantly as follows. Society doesn't evolve by consensus, voting, majority, committees, verbose meetings, academic conferences, tea and cucumber sandwiches, or polling. Only a few people suffice to disproportionately move the needle. All one needs is an asymmetric rule somewhere, and someone with soul in the game. And asymmetry is present in about everything. What is unique about minorities in the video game sphere is that they are very vocal and visible. Time after time we see developers reacting, altering, and accommodating the demands of gamers who are protesting things like the cover art of Bioshock Infinite, having a female lead character in Battlefield 5, or the design of a character in the Avengers game. In all these cases, the majority is flexible and doesn't care which way the wind blows, but the minority is consistent, unyielding, vocal, and therefore they always get a response from developers. We would like to thank the producers of the show on Patreon, especially Finn Campbell, Gamdan, Luffy, and Nur. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. Only through your help we're able to grow and continue to do what we do. So, from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. And don't forget that you can get early access to all of our upcoming videos by supporting us on Patreon. I'm your host Elizabeth, and behind the computer screen is Hytham. We wish you all the best and see you soon.